Welcome back to the big show. Jamel Hartman here. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, do not forget to subscribe on our website. Excuse me. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, without further ado, let's bring in our very special guest. You've seen her face before for various other things, but today we're talking to a veteran, Hamilton Parish Hot Pepper Majorette. Give a warm TDH welcome for Kennette Burgess. Hey there. What's up?
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Jamel got me up early this morning once again.
You know, we appreciate you. We really do. But before we even get in there, I gotta ask you got socks on right now?
I do not like socks. I do not like even wearing shoes. I actually get that from my late father. Like, we will walk around the house outside, like just like Maya said, like a woman of my own heart, like literally on the rocks with nothing. Like I'm a nature baby when it comes down to that. In Bermuda and around my house and my family's, but the US and different places.
Okay, then.
Hands.
Okay.
But yes, outside, I love wearing no shoes and no socks.
We're aligned because that United States thing and no shoes. There's too many creatures that can end up in my feet, so we're aligned with that. But
not even on the beaches.
no, for sure.
That's not pink saying. It's no feet access.
No, we're aligned. But thank you so much, Kennette. We appreciate you stopping in. We're talking Majorettes because, as I said, we've had so many people on leading up to Heritage Day and Bermuda Day in the past, but never have we had a Majorette or someone discussing Majorettes. From the beginning, right? How did you get started? Like, how did you get? Obviously, I know the story, but how did you become a Majorette, and what drew you to it?
So, good morning, everyone. Again, I'm one of the veteran Hot Pepper Majorettes. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Hot Peppers, and of course, for those of you who are familiar with the Hot Peppers, coming out of the Hamilton Parish community, where I'm from, Crow Hill, Bay, all the different Hamilton Parish locations. It was definitely started as a community organization by two of the four leaders were my aunts. So Suzette Burgess Oldboy, Juliette Burgess Baston, Peoria Rattery, and Sonia Witter are some of the original founders. And again, they're old family. So that's how I got involved. From a young age, Jamel, I was 2 years old. So 2 years old, 1989-ish, 1990s, early. Starting as a young, what we call them chili peppers at that age. And I got involved just through family connections as an outlet and, a way to perform.
It's interesting. You got in so young. And when we have gumbays on, when we speak about gumbays and the impact, the connection through the diaspora and the connection through the West Indies community and the meaning where gumbays, the white gloves and covering their face and the like. What does it mean to you personally, starting so young as a Majorette? Like, what does it mean to you as you've grown and as a Majorette?
Well, it was so many different reasons outside of just being just a family connection. I'm a performer. I'm a performer by trade, professionally, and just generally. I've been dancing most of my life. Started out in Majorettes, and then of course UDP and liturgical, just different dance. And so for me, it was another outlet of expression. It's an art, right? Just like any other form of dance. So that was one of the reasons why. So it was just, the artistic expression, what they call it, your anti-drug, right? Mm-hmm. Growing up is the way to stay out of trouble, to stay focused on things. So it's definitely helps with that. It's definitely a confidence booster. So those are the many reasons why. It's also for fitness and stuff like that. So it's so many different reasons. Growing up as a youth, why I decided to start and just stay with it. Really.
And Majorettes have long been a part of Bermuda's culture and parades and different events, right? But there was a time, you see it now, like we don't see them like we used to, yes. Right? Like, how has the role changed? Like, how has it evolved into what we have today?
Of course, so some of the original majorettes was Warwick. They were one of the first groups, and some of the leaders came from those groups and developed their own over time. And then as we grow along, things change, society changes, right? Cultural shifts, right? Age gaps. Things change, in the workforce as we see it, Jamel, with different ages, and you're learning how to manage millennials and learning how to manage Gen Zs and all the different age groups. It's the same when it comes down to the arts or the cultural performance realm, right? The preferences of young people are changing. So they want more dancing versus majorette. Some of them, they want more high energy. Some people don't find maybe marching in boots as comfortable. It's not something that if you just put on a boot and you're like, yes, I got this. You got to train in your boots. You're going to work them just like you work a pair of heels, right? You don't just put on a pair of heels and walk the runway. You have to wear them down a bit, and that's pretty much for your football cleats and anything like that. They're not, automatically just comfortable. So over time, the conversations that we have heard from the young people have been, they prefer dance, high energy, and they might be, want to wear sneakers when it comes around to it. So you see less and less majorette troops around.
That makes sense, and I'm glad you addressed all of that, especially the physical aspect. Generations have different needs, wants, and expectations. But in saying,
and one more too, Jamel. Sorry, one of the biggest things, I can't forget this. Some conversations are sometimes the baton and twirling, because I don't know if you ever spun a majorette stick. Have you ever, or even took an umbrella and just twirled it? It's not an easy skill. Majorettes are very, just like gumbays and anything else, any other technical art. Majorette is not an easy thing to learn. And when it comes down to the back, some people might be dancers and maybe good at shaking a rump and maybe dancing and coordinating in rhythm. But when it comes down to the baton twirling in itself, many of the people, even from young people, struggled. They couldn't really twirl a stick the way it should be. So, we taught them some cheat mechanisms and different ways how you can do it. So some people are like, I never learned how to twirl a stick, so I just stuck to dance.
I always very technical. I've never done it, but I've always wondered, because I'm just looking at my fingers now. I don't know. I don't possess much rhythm, but trust me. So now anyone has a baton, I can try. Like, I want to see if I'll be able to do it. But also, real quickly, anyone in the audience, was anyone in the audience a majorette? And gentlemen, will any gentlemen, maybe drummers or DJs for majorettes? I want to know how many people have actually, experienced with it. And in asking that question, let's go to this part here. How do you believe majorette groups contribute to the cultural identity, and especially during key events like Bermuda Day?
Majorettes bring the energy. Let's say historically, majorettes have been around for years. I don't know the dates, the cultural, the dates. Somebody could type that in the chat group. That might be a trivia question, Jamel. But we've been around for a long time. So culturally, because we've been around for a while, it's just embedded in our culture. I can't remember the dates of one of the first Bermuda Day parades, but majorettes were there, right? So we've been around for a while, and because it's something that mostly young women, of course we have males as well, that's part of, whether they're dancers, whether they're baton twirlers, whether they're banners, whether there are DJs and our drum corps, various roles male play. Most of them, about 80 to 90%, of course, are females, are women, or young girls. And it's a cultural outlet for us to express ourselves in another form of dance, right? Performance. Using, again, baton twirlers. One of the differences between majorettes and regular dance is the fact of the uniform, right? Just like gumbays have their uniform, majorettes, we have our standard uniforms, and things change. If you look at the different groups, it's going to be different from PHC to St. George's Dancerettes to Dynamic City to Hot Peppers, right? Everyone's different, but again, it's a lot of similarities. Just like gumbay troops, there are different gumbay troops, and things are different amongst them. The different cultural, dynamic and fashion. The same with majorettes. Everyone has our own identity. But again, you can identify a majorette just like you could identify a gumbay, right? And it's primarily, for women, and it helps us just a form of expression, and it's been around for a long time.
Indeed. Just want to go to the comments. So we did ask any majorettes in the audience. Renee Simmons says, I'm an Axnor Village
North
majorette
Village,
under
okay.
direction of Verlena Smith, and my mom was an original majorette under Irma Washington Butterfield. Majorettes have
Yes.
definitely been around. We've
Yes.
got Shonette Bell said, yep, she was
See, all right.
majorettes and drum corps. We've
Hey,
got
Shonette,
Nat
hey, Shonette.
says, Anika de Shields. We've
Hey,
got
Nika.
Karen Kay says, yep, I've been a hot pepper Anderson, Georgia's original.
Teresa, hey, girl. Yes, yes,
Peppers
yes.
have my heart. And then we've got Ms. Ellen Kate Horton says, I was one of the first majorettes in about 1952, says Somerset Brigade Band and the Somerset Majorettes, and we were high steppers.
Yes.
All right.
And Jamel Somerset Majorette was actually from one of my other aunts, Norette Burgess Simmons. So she actually started that. So, hey, I have a history of family of majorettes in my blood from east to west.
No, you were made for it. You keep mentioning something. You keep mentioning like discipline and competence. Like, in what ways do majorette troops help foster discipline and community among young people?
So let's start with discipline. Again, from the art discipline and told you about the baton twirling and stuff like that. You know, it's not easy. You know, like I said, a lot of people decided not to be majorettes because they just couldn't get the baton twirling down. Even for the males, for the drum corps and being our drum majors and stuff, they couldn't get that. So, discipline, when it comes around to it, it was that. It was just the technicality of it. When it came around to discipline as far as life and expectations, transferable skills into career, we have to make time. Now, one thing my aunt did not play when it came down to time. If you were late, you were back line, right? You need to come on time, and on time is what? Before time, right? So if you didn't come on time, if you didn't have a right attitude, you were part of the back line, right? We shifted you around according to how you behaved, right? How you performed. So it was really just like in school and at your home, it's rewards and stuff. We did that. We encourage great personalities and attitudes and time, just like they do in school. We did that also in the majorette. So it was that. It was also confidence boosters as well. So great discipline. Our motto for Hot Peppers is, if you look good, when you look good, you feel good and you do good. Be the best, and we alternated last time. Be God's best. Never settle for less. By any means necessary, right? That's our motto, right? So we literally live by that. You look good, because we're always, when it comes around to it, high fashion, Hot Peppers. Sorry, I'm a little biased, but to me, some of the best uniforms, outfits from day one to date. My aunt Suzette, shout out to her. She does a great job, fashionista herself. You feel good. We're all about confidence, and we instill that in our young people. And then you do good. Now, going back to one of your questions, as far as involving in the community. So one of the things I can definitely say that Hot Peppers, I'm not sure about the other groups, they can comment if you've done this, but Hot Peppers in the DNA, because this again is a community organization, and my family were high on community still to this day. So we definitely are involved in the community as far as giving back. We perform at senior homes, right? That's one of our training grounds, pre and post Bermuda Day. So we give back. We perform at schools, right? We give back to them. We perform at churches. Yes, one thing about the Hot Peppers, Jamel, is we are known to be entertainers, variety. We perform reggae, soca, gospel music, children's nursery rhymes, whatever. We are a group of the people. We give the people what they want. So we actually are just a community performers, and people want us to perform at their cultural events, at their community events.
Wonderful. No, that's beautiful. Well, we have a hater in the crowd. My aunt Karen Simmons says, my adult daughter is still upset she was not a majorette. She wanted to 12.
Oh, what?
She can now hopefully, if she's still interested, learn how to do the baton. It seems harder at this age. Michelle Barclay says, I'm the director of Work United Majorettes and Drum Corps, celebrating our 50th anniversary, who revived majorettes in 1975 by my mother, June Bailey Tuzo. Big up to you all. And
Warwick, yes.
Someone did an anniversary recently. Maybe it was Places Gumbies last year, but I love it. And
I love it.
We all see you all and the drums out there. We've got Rosalind Famous. She has a great idea. She said, maybe we can create the TDH majorette troupe from the audience members. Well, yeah, you all seem to be, we got some majorettes in the audience. Kennette, though, I want you to go deep, talk to this, because you've kind of touched on this quite a few times, and I don't think people understand the commitment. And I'm going to use Gumbias because that's my only reference. Yes, we see Gumbias Bermuda Day, but you can literally see Gumbias. It used to be just like seeing like Bermuda Day and then between Boxing Day and New Year's. But now you can see them almost any day of the year just going through neighborhoods, right? Mm-hmm. And we know that for Gumbias to do that, there's a lot of training and so on. What's the training and commitment like when it comes to being a majorette? Because some people just think, oh, you guys just practice like from March to May, get ready for Bermuda Day, and then maybe if you're in a Christmas parade, you'll do November or something. Speak to what goes into it.
So again, I can't speak to every troop because as I had some of my friends and family and others, and people can comment on that. It's different. For the most part, as I hear a lot of similarities, at least for the Hot Peppers, it's pretty much a year round thing. We might take a little break, not after Bermuda Day, but between end of summer and Christmas, like a little slight break. But for the most part, it's all year round. First of all, communications all year round. We have groups and we keep in contact with each other. And I'll get to something on your mind, but we practice. Starting out is usually, twice a week initially. And then as you get closer to Christmas parade or Bermuda Day parade, it increases, right? To sometimes 3, 4, 5 times, and then, Saturdays and sometimes Sundays and different things. So it all depends on the group and at the time, but it's definitely not easy. Again, technical skills when it comes around to it, and discipline as far as attending. Some people don't always come to practices, so we have a sort of like a virtual training, if you will, just like I'm with you right now, Jamel. Virtually. I know when I was in university, I couldn't always make the practices because, of course, I was abroad, and by the time we came back, you have like a couple of weeks until Bermuda Day. By the time you graduate or finish in May to come back, so. What we did was we recorded videos, and we, had me in college, and still to this day, a lot of the people who might be busy at work, we have videos of training, and you practice at your home. So people, you might go to practice 2 to 3 times a week, but you're practicing like every day at your house, just like you would if you were playing football or dancing gumbies or playing on the drums. Like, because it's an art, because it's a skill form, because it's extracurricular, and you want to be the best at it, that you're going to practice. So, we have group trainings, but yes, you practice at home. I was, not only working on my fitness then and working on my dancing, but I was also twirling my baton and working in my boots and, doing different things at the home because I wanted to be front line. I wanted to be the best.
But I want to ask you this, as you're talking, I'm just thinking like, man, I used to think about the gumbies and all that dance, that long parade, and think about the majorettes. Audience, any one of you can answer this as well, because a lot of you obviously have done it since you've been majorettes. You all don't get tired, all that walking and dancing and like depending on the weather, like how is it doing the parade? Speak to that for me. That wasn't even one of my questions, but as I'm listening to you just now, I'm like, man, maybe I should have went and completed my 3 years in the regiment instead of just doing that 6 months, because that's some discipline, boy.
Is this when I say so? We don't at Hot Peppers. I can't speak to any other troop, but when it comes down to fitness and discipline, this is why, Jamel, I'm a volunteer because I'm got my health sorted out, right? So it's high intensity, right? It's hours. You're marching for hours, and now every group is different. Hot Peppers, we're high energy, right? That's one of the people's group. We're high energy, right? So we're a mix of majorette and dancing, right? We're very high energy. So because of that, we do a lot of stunts. You got, some of the ladies doing cartwheels and flips and splits. We mix dancing with majorettes with gymnastics, right? Because one of my aunts was involved in gymnastics, Suzette. So we literally mix it up. So you have to be, in a certain of fitness and ability and willing really to do that. So yes, we get tired, of course. We do get tired. That's why we have to train. So we during our practices then and also now, the ladies still do it. We actually go out on the roads and practice. So we start inside during the winter months, and then it start now. It gets more towards the spring, summer. As we go towards Bermuda Day, we start going outside. So we work in our boots. We actually perform outside and different events in the community as well. Like we go to MWI and do their event and Loyal Heel and different things. That's part of our not only training for our experience, but also we get our fitness in as well. So it's definitely you do get tired. Some people pass out before We have water stop. Shout out to all of our volunteers. We help give out the water and the oranges and the limecool. Hello, sports.
Cool. But you know what fascinates me? See, I can't see the face of gumbears, right? I can't see their face.
Right.
But majorettes, I see you, and you're smiling through it. I'm like, are they crazy?
You better smile.
Like, what else? Smile that you have to do. I'm like, you're not tired, like your legs and like, seriously, that's the most admirable thing I see in majorettes. They are literally, and I used to watch right by tennis stadium, like that area. And so you're literally at the end, coming right there.
You got us
They smiling.
Well, you know what, Jamel? In all fair, and shout out to our Bermudian public. I love you guys. Look, as a performer, we all know, like, no matter what type of performance you do, the crowd gives you your energy, right? So that's one thing. With Hot Peppers, with high energy, we need energy back. So when we get around to a certain part, you got your front street, and then you go around UDP, and then you definitely got your so around Victoria Park, tennis court. You got different points where when you get there, it's going to be your little sluggish. You're going to get a boost of energy because the people's like, come on, dance, hey, Kennette, how you doing? You better perform. You all better stop here. Like literally, the poor marshals, they probably give them a hard time because they want us to perform. Now, they're like, we've been here all this time, and you got people just walking by. They want us to perform and stop, and it helps us. It gives us the energy. So again, Jamel, when you're tired, you're about to pass out. Between the water, limecool, and the orange refresh, the energy of the crowd also reboosts you. So,
Terry K says, for me, the energy of the crowd gets you.
Yes.
If the crowd isn't vibes, you have to dig deep and
smile through it.
Smile the entire.
And we practice that, Jamel. That's all part of rehearsals. You don't just practice the dance moves and practice with baton twirling. And one thing in Hot Peppers, Jamel, I must say this. At the end of the day, sometimes you forget your steps. You're smiling. You're like, hey, Jamel, how you doing? Hey, Sarah. And you're forgetting your steps, right? You're like, oh my goodness. You're like, I forget whatever, but you just smile. You just smile through it, and you just, yes.
This is another thing, though. It's like, okay, if you're running like a half marathon, you ain't got to remember the steps to the beat and all that there. In the parade, and I'm not saying it's easier than running the Bermuda half marathon. I'm just saying, in the parade, you get your fatigue. You have to remember the steps. You have to make sure you're on, and you have to smile. That's a lot of work. Look, you know what?
Discipline.
Props to you all. Yeah, no, a lot of
it
is. I want to know this, though. We've seen less and less majorette troops, right? And I'm excited to see that Miss Barclay said that Work United is out celebrating their 50th. But what are some of the biggest challenges that majorette groups face today in Bermuda? You kind of touched on it, like generations change and so on. What else?
Well, again, just for the first point, one thing that I'm proud of, that I think Hot Peppers, we took a break for like 10, 15 years. The times of in college to now, it was like a 10, 15-year gap or so, right? And it was because people get overwhelmed and life happens. Life be lifing, as we say, right? And you got family, people focus on family and career and different things. It wasn't some of the other. It's every major group has their challenges. With Hot Peppers, it was never as far as support or numbers. We've had numbers from day one, when we first started, when we ended back then, and starting out, maybe started back up last year. We'll always have the numbers when it comes around to that. And I believe one of the differences between Hot Peppers and even some of the other groups, like I love my Dynamic City. There's one of my favorite groups as well. Bring the energy. I think St. George's hasn't had a problem with numbers as well, right? Some others have. I don't focus on other groups, so I don't want to know as much. But numbers, I believe, Jamel, when you bring the energy, when you look good, feel good, do good, we get back to community. Hot Peppers are holistic. So I don't think we will ever have a problem with numbers when it comes around to that, because we embrace all generations, all generational music. We look good for all generations when it comes around to feel good and the discipline and everything. So I believe, as far as that, we don't Hot Peppers don't experience the traditional things that maybe some other groups do, because we have changed and evolved, because our product, our brand, is all inclusive when it comes around to it, right? We don't just have one song or focus on old music. We have a variety from old to new. That's part of our DNA at the Hot Peppers. However, some of the challenges, of course, when it comes around to it, of course, people don't always make us numbers and stuff. So, sometimes, when it comes around to it, it's very demanding. You got to make Gumbe practice, you got to make Majorette practice, you got to make work, you know. So some people might not always have that commitment. So you know, if they can't make a Majorette, they might put them as a pom-pom girl. You know, it is what it is, or you might be a volunteer. But another thing is financial. It costs a lot of money, cost of living is going up. So of course, with anything financial, Gumbe's cost a lot, Majorettes cost a lot for your costume, for the truck and different things. So you know, it's definitely financial. One thing I'm proud of is that as a veteran Hot Pepper Majorette, I'm one of the sponsors through to North Shore Medical. Shout out to Dr. Brown and UCG Group. North Shore Medical were one of the sponsors. So one thing we can always use is more sponsors when it comes down to just thinking of Majorettes and people in the parade as a whole. That's the one thing that people complain about is just sponsorship. So that's one of the challenges in these financial times. You need more money, higher cost of living.
Indeed. Well, we've got to head out, but what can people do if they are interested, or you know someone who's interested in actually getting involved with the Hot Peppers?
Well, if they want to, well, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll get you in contact with our leaders. Feel free to if you comment on this post, I can make sure one of the leaders probably checks it out. But you can you know how to reach me, Kennette at getwithfocus.com or Kennette Burgess at Yahoo, whichever one you remember. If those of you have my number, you know my business is, reach out and I'll get you the information. Definitely, because we have WhatsApp groups and all that sort of stuff to get you involved and to get you to speak with somebody about maybe making Christmas. It's too late for Bermuda Day, but you know, making Christmas or maybe next year, Bermuda Day, 2026.
Kennette, thank you so much. Exciting conversation. Folks, if you are not ready for Bermuda Day, this conversation probably just got you there. We'll talk to you soon, Kennette. See you next time.
Thank you. Happy Heritage Month.
All righty. Kennette Burgess, always a ball of energy. Man, did she not make you want to be a drummer or a majorette today? We've got Nikisha Burrows saying yes to Cedar Avenue, give majorettes life. We've got Walk Tall Work United, she says. We've got Lima Cole is life, says Terry K. Yep, Lima Cole certainly is like, folks, if you appreciate this conversation, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to take our final break. We'll be back and we'll wrap it up. Give my final thoughts on the majorette conversation, but also we've got a daily play. I want to see who gets this right.